Hello and good afternoon to Mr. Tiago, IPK Southeast Asia Project Leader, Mr. Francisco Flores, EU Delegation to Malaysia, and all participants. First of all, I would like to express my appreciation to the IPKC, EUIPO for organizing the forum today. It's my pleasure to share with all of you today about MyIPO and the future of IP governance in Malaysia. This is the subtopic that I'm going to cover today. Includes the brief overview of MyIPO, Malaysian Intellectual Property Corporation of Malaysia, MyIPO, the IP legislation enforced under MyIPO, IP performance in Malaysia, international cooperation, and future plan for MyIPO. Ladies and gentlemen, now let me start with the brief overview of MyIPO. The vision of MyIPO is to be one of the leading IP organizations. The mission is to provide strong legal infrastructure and effective administration regime to enhance greater creativity and exploitation of intellectual property. MyIPO is an organization which provides legal infrastructure and administration regime on IP. MyIPO functions are: 1. Administer intellectual property law and monitor its implementation. 2. Boosting and increase training and information dissemination. 3. Giving opinion in any issue related intellectual property. 4. Providing management service, collect and enforce fee payment on any incidental charge. 5. Establishing cooperation relationship internally and outside the country and subject matter expert. 6. Undertake research and studies related intellectual property. 7. Review and update intellectual property law according to the needs and current development. 8. Ensuring countries' interests in any agreement or related international convention intellectual property which Malaysia become the member is protected. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the organization chart of MyIPO. MyIPO is an agency under the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs. Now, let me move on the IP legislation that enforced under MyIPO. The establishment of MyIPO under the purview of Intellectual Property Corporation of Malaysia under Act 2002. 6 IP Acts are within the jurisdiction of MyIPO, namely 1 on Trademark Act 1976, 2nd under Patent Act 1983, 3rd one under Copyright Act 1987, 4th Industrial Design Act 1996, 5th under Geographical Indication Act 2000, and Layout Design of Integrated Circuit Act 2000. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to highlight to you the IP performance in Malaysia. Based on the statistic of application received in MyIPO, a total of 34,592 intellectual property applications were filed from January to September 2020. Meanwhile, from January to September 2020, IP registration recorded 26,331 IP registration. More than 80% of the total IP applications were trademarks. Meanwhile, patents accounted for nearly 50% of the total IP applications. In 2019, MyIPO received a total of 56,186 applications and a total of 24,993 registration. From 2015 to 2019, United States of America remain as the highest share of all IP application and registration in Malaysia. With regard the performance pre and during COVID-19, the statistic of comparison between January until September 2019 and 2020 shows a decrease in the application received in Malaysia. However, for the statistic registration of trademark and grant of patent, saw a significant increase in comparing than previous year. Now, let me move on the outreach program, promotion and awareness program organized by MyIPO. MyIPO has conducted and organized various programs and initiatives to raise awareness on the importance of IP protection and to facilitate filing procedure and exploitation of IP. Familiarization programs with media and collaboration with enforcement agency. IP mobile clinic to provide advice and consultation to the public. This program aims to guide and facilitate applicants on filing matters, including procedure, application, and IP component. Outreach program through social media such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And summer camp, IP summer camp, and IP Fantastic aim to raise awareness of IP protection among younger generation through fun and interactive learning activities. Cooperative programs with Ministry of Education, and then we have also IP portal for youngsters, a database or bank of idea for youth or student to send their innovation or creative works. Malaysia also introduced IP in the formal education system, such as introduce Master in IP, collaboration program with the National University of Malaysia, and IP as elective subject in University Malaysia of Sabah. MyIPO, where the IP Academy has been tasked to conduct and organize IP courses and training throughout the years. In 2019, a total of 93 courses was organized under IP Academy. IP Academy also organized collaboration, seminar, training, workshop with cooperation of WIPO, KIPO, EPO, JCO, JPO, IP, KCC Australia, DPMA by bringing experts from overseas country to train local experts. MyIPO evaluation methods to facilitate commercialization, exploitation of IP under IP evaluation. MyIPO had developed IP evaluation training module in March 2013. 23 candidates were certified as IP evaluators, and MyIPO introduced IP evaluation model in November 2013. In order to identify and nurture Malaysian IP creator, MyIPO also organized annual programs which is National IP Day and Award, the highlights of the IP awareness program annually. In the development of infrastructure for IP transaction, MyIPO introduced in IPR marketplace strategy partnership. IP marketplace portal roadmap for IP monetization 2015 to 2020 and amendment to IP law to introduce provisions to allow IP as a collateral. This is to ensure business, banking, and financial infrastructure facilities IP-based transaction, encourage development of IP-based banking instrument for collateralization and securitization of IP asset, create IP exchange to stimulate trading of IP and encourage financing of IP-based investment. Ladies and gentlemen, to promote IP, MyIPO also introduced comprehensive and proactive IP Resource Center throughout National Technology and Innovation Support Center, that is TISC. Promote distribution of research and development result. Establish a conducive IP environment by providing funds to facilitate and support youth, students, and local communities to file the IP and foster cooperation between public and private sector, research institute, and industry. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to move on the international cooperation, mainly on the treaties that Malaysia is a member to. After joining the WIPO Convention, Malaysia became a member of World Intellectual Property Organization since January 1989. MyIPO has acceded to 7 treaties administered by WIPO, such as Paris Convention in January 1989, Bern Convention in October 1986, Patent Cooperation Treaty in August 2006, Nice Agreement in September 2007, WIPO Cooperation Treaty in December 2012, and WIPO Performance and Phonograms Treaty in December 2012. Recently, MyIPO has acceded to Madrid Protocol in September 2019. Malaysia also is a signatory to the trade-related aspect of intellectual property right TRIPS agreement since January 1995 as a member of World Trade Organization, WTO. Currently, there are 3 main international treaties under priority for Malaysia to accede in the near future, which are Budapest Treaty and Marrakesh Treaty and Hague Agreement. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me move on the future plan for Malaysia, for MyIPO, in order to enhance the service and the IP laws in Malaysia. In order to enhance the service and administration of IP in Malaysia, MyIPO has focused into 1. Strengthening IP administration in Malaysia. MyIPO will introduce expedite examination for patent and trademark. This could be implemented once we amend the law to revise the current procedure under the law and regulations. MyIPO will improve online filing system to strengthen its service delivery system, as well as to create a data bank and secure online facility. IP Official Journal System is the system that provides published information on IP application and registration. Currently, MyIPO uses this IP journal to publish industrial design and trademark and it will be followed by patent after the patent law is amended. MyIPO also introduce work from home to facilitate and support examiner to increase their production and registration. Second, updating the IP laws and regulations. Due to current global IP trend and to strengthen IP law, as well to accede to the international treaty, amendment to the law is necessary. MyIPO had amended and revamped a brand new Trademark Act 2019 that allow registration of non-traditional trademark and to facilitate trademark filings to the other countries with the accession of Madrid Protocol. Currently, MyIPO in the midst of amending Patent Act and Copyright Act and will be followed by Industrial Design Act soon. Third, strengthening of enforcement agency. This is through establishment of internal special task force under Enforcement Division of Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs. Besides, more train and workshop will be organized to train IP enforcement officers on dealing with infringement and counterfeit of IP rights. The amendment of relevant laws also required to give more power to the enforcement officer in performing their tasks. Fourth, accession to the international treaty. For patent, MyIPO plan to join Budapest Treaty to allow post-grant and third-party observation. MyIPO also plan to join Marrakesh Treaty in order to facilitate access for visually impaired person and person with print disabilities, and the Hague Agreement to facilitate design owner to protect their design under Hague members countries. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, all the plans, as I mentioned above, is to make sure IP governments in Malaysia is a par with international level and meet the global trend and need. We hope this plan will achieve successfully to improve our system to enhance our IP regime in Malaysia. That's all my presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.